Welcome to the Trust Factor Podcast, the only podcast that guarantees your success when you implement its divine age-old teachings. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Trust Factor Podcast. I'm really glad you can make it for another episode. We're getting through the week. We're starting them off properly with a little bit of truth in a world filled with deceit. We see what's going on, guys. Look around. Look at the world. It seems to be falling apart at the seams. When people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens are making headlines day in and day out, people who hate the Jewish nation, people who hate Israel, seemingly, because not too long ago, they didn't. Not too long ago, not only did they not hate the Jewish nation or the state of Israel, they loved it. They promoted it. They got behind it. They were ecstatic at the opportunity to have a microphone and defend it. And then you can almost pick the day where somebody decided to pay them large amounts of money to flip the script. And that they did. And they're doing it in a way that is unprecedented. And they're just adding to the craziness that's in the world. They're taking reality and they're flipping it on its head. They're feeding the world lies. They're adding to this concept of olam ha-sheker, like we've been talking about, alma de shikra. This is a world of lies. That's the way it was created. And it's our job to uncover the truth and call out the lies. And that's what we're doing, my friends. You're doing it with me. It's heartwarming to see that good people, and there are plenty, and they are the majority, are out there fighting the corrupt narrative. You see it. It's getting worse and worse. Unfortunately, it needs to get really bad before everybody wakes up. It's gotten bad enough that people are now starting to wake up. What we've been saying up until now is that we have to be grateful. We have to be modeh al ha'emet, which means that we have to give testimony on the truth. And we have to be modeh al hakol al hatov. We have to be grateful for all the good that is done for us. That is what moves us forward. That is what propels us. That's more importantly what clears our mind. It does away with the negativity. Every time we do that, it builds positivity in our minds, and it does away with all of the pessimism and all of the complaints. They all go away when we acknowledge the good things that we have in our lives, like we talked about yesterday. On the opposite end of that coin, nothing stimulates divine wrath like sadness and complaining. Intrinsically, God does everything mercifully, giving everyone more than they deserve. And if you're honest, you know that that's true. We don't deserve a fraction of the things that we get, and yet we get so much. Therefore, when a person whines and complains, what's he doing? He's showing his Creator that he doesn't believe that he's kind or that he's just or that he's merciful. Such an attitude invokes stern judgment. Consequently, a person's attitude, when it's negative, triggers troubles and suffering. That's why you see people who are innately negative, who are always complaining, who always see the glass as half empty. Those people are always spiraling. They never get better, seemingly. They're constantly getting worse and worse in their negativity. Their view is constantly getting darker and darker and darker. Why? Listen to this. The Creator owes no one anything. So what happens? A person who complains causes the heavenly court to examine his case. Could it be that he has been treated unfairly? Has he been denied something that he rightfully deserves? Then the court discovers that in actuality, what really happened, the person has received far more than they deserved, and that the Creator has been more than merciful with them. So you know what happens? He's now judged by the letter of the law, without compassion, without mercy, and he ends up getting what he really deserves, which is far less than what the Creator had originally given him. Just like a loving father who sees past their child's challenges and their wrongdoings. So many times we do this. If you're a parent, you know your child is deserving of punishment, and it's the right thing to do. You're supposed to eke out punishment because they behaved really badly, but you don't. Why? Because you're on a family vacation and you don't want to spoil it, because it's graduation time and you don't want the day to be ruined. It's not your fault. The child did something that was clearly wrong and negative and deserving of consequence, but you withhold because you don't want to punish the child for whatever the reason is. It's the same thing. God doesn't give you what you deserve. If he did, we would all be suffering greatly. On the contrary, he gives you so much more goodness every single day that is undeserving. So it's just like a kid. when a kid cries for no reason, when all you've done is give them good and yet they end up crying and you don't know what to do, you're beside yourself. What do you say to the kid? You've heard this growing up. I've heard it growing up. If you're crying for no reason, I'll give you a reason to cry about. You're already crying. You're already complaining. You're already miserable. So you might as well have something to be miserable about, right? It doesn't make sense for me to make all of these efforts to be able to lift you up and to do good for you and to bring goodness into your life if all you're going to do is whine and complain. Why should I make those efforts? Why should I go out of my way to provide you with goodness if all you're going to do is throw it back in my face? And so many people do this. No matter what good you give them, they throw it back in your face. I used to work with somebody back in the day, an individual, a good person, inside, down deep, a good person. And without getting into too many details, because there might be somebody listening that might be connected or may even be them. I'm talking about 30 years ago. I used to work in a courier company right out of university. We used to deliver checks. We used to go around the city from bank to bank delivering checks and certifying them. And we were paid by the piece, by the delivery. We were given routes by individuals who would come in early, set up the routes for everybody, and give each driver their route. And obviously, depending on where you were, you could get a really, really easy route where your stops were back to back, really close together, easy to do, and you could crank out your entire day and make a lot of money, guys. I mean, this was really lucrative at the time. They were paying very well. You could make a lot of money in half a day. You could be finished your route by noontime and make a lot of money, more than most people make in a day. That person who got that route was always happy, ecstatic, because they knew that they had an easy payday today. There was always one individual that no matter how good the route was, could have gotten the sweetest route in the world. I know because I was the one in charge. Sometimes it would alternate, would rotate. Different people would be given the opportunity, the responsibility to set up the routes for the day and to hand them out. And when it was my turn, and everybody knew this, and we gave this individual a cherry of a route, he would fire back at you. Fly off the handle. Not good enough. No matter how good it was the sweetest route of the day. Didn't care, complained, whined, and everybody knew that. And it was just such a downer that no matter how good you did for this person, he didn't appreciate it. And so you know what ends up happening? We don't give it to him anymore. He doesn't get the route. You're going to complain anyways. So why would I give him a beauty of a route if he doesn't appreciate it? While the guy standing behind him would not only appreciate it, he'd be through the roof. He'd be ecstatic. He'd be singing my praise for days. Who do you think I want to give it to? I don't want to give it to the miserable guy. I want to give it to the guy who's going to say thank you. I want to give it to the guy who's going to say, you know what? I owe you, even though I'm not doing it for the favor. But at least he's acknowledging, he recognizes that something good is being done for him. I want to do it for him again and again and again. The other guy, you couldn't pay him enough to put a smile on his face. So why would I go out of my way to do something good for him? That's the way the world works. It's the same thing over here. God is busy day and night doing everything for you and giving you even the things that you don't deserve in his love for you to see you grow and to see you thrive and to give you the benefit of the doubt. And when you're miserable, even when he gives you the things that you're not deserving, what do you want him to do? To keep giving it? It doesn't make sense. He needs to pull back. He needs to give it to somebody else, to give you an opportunity to feel like the reason that you were crying in the first place, that you didn't get. Now you'll understand why you should cry. If a person was happy with his lot in life, he'd never question the way that the Creator handles his life. But his sadness is in effect an unfortunate statement that he doesn't like the way that the Creator treats him. Such an attitude triggers stern judgments. What's the takeaway? The takeaway is have eyes to see the good. Be happy all day. How are you happy all day? Recognize when good is done for you. Recognize when people are going out of the way. It's not just your Creator. It's everybody that you interact with on a daily basis. If you're that guy, if you're miserable, no matter what somebody does for you, they're going to stop doing for you. It's just going to get worse. And that takes us back to the beginning where I told you, those people that you know and I know who are always negative, they're always getting worse and worse. They're spiraling out of control. Why? Because their negativity breeds more negativity. Their sadness breeds more sadness. People don't want to be around that. And people will respond in kind. If you are negative and miserable and upset at the things that people are doing for you, they will withdraw and they will stop doing. And then you'll have a real reason to be upset. Stop. Flip the script. The opposite applies also. When you're happy, when you demonstrate gratitude, when you say thank you, when you smile, when you return the favor, those are the actions that breed more goodness. It's the same as what I told you a few days ago. Mitzvah goreret mitzvah. A mitzvah pulls behind it another mitzvah. And an avera pulls behind it an avera. A sin pulls behind it another sin. It's the same concept. If I'm doing good and I'm putting good into the world and I'm being grateful and thankful, more good will come to me. And if I'm being miserable and negative and I don't appreciate the good, then more negativity will come my way. It's not rocket science, guys. It's simple. Put these into play in your life every day and you will see only goodness start to compound in your life day after day. Tomorrow we're going to talk about why we get the tribulations, why we have to deal with these things, and you will be armed tomorrow with information on how to avoid them. Very simple, guys. Simple arithmetic. 1 + 1 = 2. Nothing over here is so difficult that you have to wrap your head around it. It's just that we need to be reminded. A lot of these things we already know. These principles are already embedded in us from childhood. All I'm doing is bringing them back up and reminding you of them from a Torah perspective. I hope that helps you with your day, my friends. Thank you for spending time with us on the Trust Factor podcast. If you've heard something today that moved you, save this episode and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss upcoming conversations that challenge, empower, and uplift. And if you're on social media, connect with us. Leave your thoughts. Drop a quote that resonated with you. Hashtag the Trust Factor podcast. Until next time, keep growing in your trust and keep living with purpose. I'm Jesse Revivo, and this has been the Trust Factor Podcast. Thanks for listening.